Okay, here's my final shot to you on how to be less miserable. This was a game changer for me. I still practice it and I will practice it till the day I die. And it's do live a through me life. One of the reasons why I was such a miserable fuck was because I only made life about me, right? I had a lot of eyes in my senses. And because I wasn't where I was, or I didn't have what I wanted to have, blah, 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 me. It made me happy, it made me unhappy, right? It made me miserable. When you start to make your life about greater things, right? So I lived a very to me life, was in victim mode, felt like a lot of bad shit happened to me. And when you live in a to me state, you are creating your own prison, right? And I understand that we are victims in life because there's stuff that happens that we have no control over. There's war, there's sexual assault, people die, there are accidents, I get that. But I'm talking about the mindset. It wasn't until I went through my rebirth and rebuilt myself that I started to live a through me life. I started to believe that I had a purpose. I started to believe that there are things happening greater than me, right? That there was a greater force working through me, light coming through me, and color coming out the other end. So when you start to live a through me life, you start to become fearless. And you start to pull back and you start to want different things and you become less miserable because it's not all about you and your needs and your wants, right? And I think this shift in perspective is so powerful. We get miserable and depressed and feel hopelessness when we fall into the trenches, right? When we feel like our lives are hopeless and meaningless and purposeless. When we start to live a through me life, when we start to believe there's something greater than us working through us, then we start to accept our story, right? Then we're able to kind of look back and connect dots. Then we're actually able to trust that there's something bigger and greater for us, right? And it doesn't mean to do nothing. I mean, you know, I still work my ass off and I try to do everything I can to, swim toward my goals and my true north. But the difference is, I have less fear and I'm able to distance everything I don't have, etc., and all of my needs because I believe that something greater is happening. Because I believe that I'm meant to do something or go somewhere. Because I believe that it's not about me. And now, not every day, right? I do fluctuate. There are some days that I do feel I'm in victim mode and I'm pouty and a complete child. That's okay, right? Feelings are not facts and we feel, and the way that we release our feelings is to actually feel them. So I have those days, but the goal is not to stay there, right? The goal is not to stay in a through me state. The goal is not to stay in a to me state. The goal is to stay in a through me state. So here's my question to you. What would your life look like? What would your days look like if you started to pull from a through me mindset instead of a to me mindset? If you thought to yourself, there's something greater working through me and my job is to be the conduit, to be as authentic and fearless as I can so my gifts are shared with the world, what would that look like? Question 2, can you execute that? Because by executing that, you will not be miserable. There's no way you can be miserable if you believe that there's greater things happening to you in your life and there's amazing things happening and you're doing everything you can to be a prism instead of a stone, right? So I used to be a stone, just dense and colorless, and today I try to be more of a prism. And by doing so, I live more in my solid self. I have less fear because I don't give a fuck what people think about me because something greater is happening. And when you start to live on that plane, it's impossible to be miserable.